Hi, my name is Scott Blackwell. I would like to share my testimony with you so that you may know who I am in Christ and how God has molded me into the man that I have become today. My whole life I've been submersed in Christianity. I grew up in a Christian home. My parents were missionaries, and I accepted Christ before I entered the first grade. I went to a Christian boarding school most of my life, where I learned about God in Bible classes. I took one every year. Every night my dorm had devotions and I went to church, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. I was surrounded by people who loved God and encouraged me constantly to grow to be more like Him. Having so much Christian influence in my life was great, but it came with its problems. It was in my middle school years that I began to drown spiritually. My relationship with God grew stale. Being immersed in Christianity and seeing it all around me, all the time, allowed me to become numb to God and what He was doing. I slowly began to find my identity in things other than God, mostly sports. My freshman year of high school, I played 3 varsity sports: basketball, soccer, and softball. I was an excellent athlete and got a lot of playing time, so I became proud of myself and because of what I thought I had accomplished on my own. So the next year, God humbled me. My sophomore year started out well. I made all the 4 varsity sports that our school had, and I was going to be a starter. God had other plans. About a month into the school year, I was playing handball when I twisted my knee wrong and tore my ACL. Where I lived in Africa, they didn't have the medical capabilities to repair my knee, so I was out of sports until further notice. I had to use crutches for almost 2 months, and wore a knee brace until I could come back to the States for surgery. I felt abandoned by God, and I was angry with Him. Sports had been my life and had taken up all my time, so without them, I was lost. But God knew what He was doing, and He began to bring my focus back to Himself. My sophomore year was a long, hard road filled with frustration and growth. Growing and becoming mature in Christ hurts sometimes, yet God uses suffering to mold us. Frederick Robertson said, "As a tree is fertilized by its own broken branches and fallen leaves, and grows out of its own decay, so men and nations are bettered and improved by trial, and refined out of broken hopes and blighted expectations." A song that really encouraged me through this time was "How Deep the Father's Love for Us" by the Newsboys. This song let me know that God really cared for me and knew what I was going through. It took me a while to realize that being injured wasn't all about me. There were other people out there who were hurting just like I was. I learned that I needed to put God first in my life and find my identity in Him, because all other things can be taken away. God used this situation to direct my life. I didn't know before what I wanted to do with my life, but when I came back to the United States for knee surgery and the following rehab, I began to see that God had a place for me in physical therapy. He gave me a passion for physical therapy and for helping athletes. Hurting my knee seemed like the end of the world at the time, but looking back, I can see all the wonderful things that God has done through it. I grew in my walk with Christ because of the situation, and I learned to trust God more. Colossians 2 says that we only get our nourishment and strength from God. God has definitely given me strength and nourishment through this hard time. That's why I stay in my Bible constantly, so I can learn more about who God is and what He has for my life. Thank you for listening.